All right, I want to deal with a comment. This will be a real short video or short stream. I want to deal with a comment that was left on Miranda Maverick's Instagram. Miranda Maverick's Instagram. And she didn't post nothing. It was just her in a Christmas outfit. This photo right here. Look at what they wrote. It said, I constantly see how you talk bad / down towards other fighters in your division, including Macy Barber, Lex Grasso, Tracy Cortez. That is why they are future UFC champions. And you will never be an Invicta champion. You will go 3-5 in your next 8 and then retire or get cut from the UFC. You're one of the worst fighters in the division and only beat girls that don't even belong in the UFC and who aren't in the UFC anymore. Priscilla Cachoeira, Sabina Mazo, and Shanna Young. Wasn't it Shanna Young? And they said you don't belong in the UFC either. Now, what would motivate a person to just come out and say this is beyond me. But I pointed out in the post that I made that there are fans like this. That there are some fans who, for whatever reason, just don't like certain fighters and really want to see them lose. Do you think this person wants to see Miranda win or lose? Be successful or unsuccessful? He just put it out there that she is not UFC material. So you can rest assured that when she fights, he's going to be rooting for her opponent just so he can be proven right. Come back, say, aha, I told you so. But chances are, this guy doesn't know her. And she doesn't know him. This is just how some fans are. They're just like, I don't know. But look, that's what the fighters are there for. This is what comes with being a public figure. You know, you take the good with the bad. You have some fans who are fanatics of you and basically worship you. And you got some fans who want to see you lose. But all that aside, all the motive aside, is it a valid criticism? At the end of the day, he is being critical of a product that's up for sale. Miranda Maverick is up for sale. We purchased her in the form of an ESPN subscription. Is it valid? Well, let's hear what she had to say first. She said, weird take considering I fight all takers. I respect and like Grasso a ton, and I think Macy's a good fighter. I don't like that the UFC won't let me rematch her, and she's cocky. But that's part of the game. And yeah, I don't like the Tracy hype when she barely fights and doesn't fight ranked girls to be where she is. But it's all UFC politics. Enjoy the holidays. You must not like most of the UFC champs since they all talk shit way more than me. Miranda, don't even explain yourself to this person. But I like that she at least gave a reply and shared some of her thoughts. That is foolish. We need Miranda. Protect Miranda. In fact, she need to come out her shell a little bit more. She one of the few fighters who will say something, who will make it interesting, you know, who will be critical of her opponents. Like with Tracy Cortez, pointing stuff like that. There's a lot of fighters who won't point stuff like that out. And I think that's fair game. Like, hey, I fought my way to this spot. You got gifted your way up to this spot. I'm going to show that you aren't worthy to be where you at. That's fair game. Because listen, many of us think this stuff, we see it ourselves as fans. We see all of this stuff. So I don't think it's not reasonable to wag your finger at fighters who point stuff like that out. And boy, this guy just goes in. Look at this. He said, Okay, maybe he's now fanboying. Okay, I ain't even gonna get it. I'm not even gonna honor all this. Shut up. Shut up. And I just want to point out that this is pathetic. That's pathetic, man. Your ultimate criticism was that she talks smack. She don't talk that much smack. She's lightweight. She need to go harder, if you ask me. She don't really talk smack. And who, like I said, you trying to create a boring division where a bunch of girls don't talk and got no character, no personality. Y'all gotta chill that out. Listen, they're allowed to be as catty as they want if they're fighters. Okay? It's gonna be hard for us. Like, what would this sound like if this was directed toward a male fighter? You know how sissified that would sound? Stop it. Okay? Now, something else I wanted to deal with. I don't know who this is, but I think what he said is true. And this is about whether or not Dakota will leave PFL to go to UFC. Apparently, she's already spoken on it. Okay? In the post-fight press conference, which I did not listen to. She said, quote, "I signed a 2-year contract with the PFL. It ends in August. Obviously, now I'm the champion. I think it will be extended." She said, "I don't know. I leave the contract side to everyone else. As long as I get 3 fights a year, I don't care if I'm with the PFL or Bellator." When asked about the possibility of a switch to the UFC, she said, "No UFC allowed. PFL, the journey is not finished." So let me stop right here and make a prediction right now. Dakota Dichiva's downfall starts right now. It's downhill from here. Win or lose, it's downhill from here for her. Especially if she loses. Especially if we have a repeat of the Kayla Harrison. She's going to enter into the UFC possibly with far less stock. That's a big reason why I think UFC was willing to sign Kayla Harrison. Okay, now we got leverage. You got a loss already. So we're not going to give you that big chunk of money that you were asking for when we negotiated earlier. Now we're going to offer you this. But we all knew the UFC can't match her making $1 million. They're not going to pay. They don't pay nobody $1 million a year. Only the champions make money like that. The sitting champions. And even then, they got to fight more than once a year. When you look at the business side of it, it just flat out don't make sense for Dakota to go to UFC. Just don't make sense at all. She about to do the Kayla Harrison. You remember how long Kayla Harrison stayed in the PFL? And she started getting ridiculed. Ain't nothing over there but cans. The same thing is about to happen to Dakota. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is fun. I enjoy predicting the future. She gonna stay in the PFL. She's gonna need some stiff competition. And who do they have? So she's about to fight the likes of Liz Carmouche, Chanel Dyer. What if one of them beats her? Huh? What if she loses worse than Kayla Harrison lost when she was in the PFL? So her stock right now, Dakota's stock is higher than it has ever been. Right now, and it's downhill from here, sadly. Sadly. It's unfortunate to hear that she's not coming to the UFC. By the way, this guy's name is Chris Ludford. Chris Ludford. She said, "It's difficult now because I just beat the best girl here. I think big fights suit me better. But will anyone watch the PFL season without me? You remember she said that in the interview. So, yeah, man, it's not looking good going forward for Dakota's future. I know I personally, and it's all over the internet, a lot of people want to see how she'll do against UFC, the top UFC fighters. I'm not even going to entertain this idea of Dakota against the number 15 fighter, number 10 fighter, being nowhere near top 3. And I'm not even dealing with top 3. Champion. If she signs UFC, give her an immediate title shot. She herself is a champion. I don't think UFC needs to be honored like that. That just because it's the UFC, she needs to fight her way up. Nah, not even a little bit. Look at her knockout ratio. All that time, we've been looking at her knockout ratio, thinking to ourselves, it's a fluke. The power ain't real. It ain't real. No, we got to circle back around now. All this time, that power's been real. Even if Taylor's declining. That was the first time she's been stopped. That's not the first time she's taken some licks. And it's not like she was under a storm or a flurry of shots. She was being hurt with single shots. Dakota is a power striker. More efficient with kicks than Joanna was. But highly efficient with kicks and punches and elbows and knees. So I would say send her straight to the champion. And I'll end with this. I want to give Veronica Hardy the award for the fighter who is furthest away from fighting at their full potential. She, more than any other fighter, fails to display her true skill set and potential. Far more. I think she sticks out like a sore thumb in that regard. Hopefully she can get it together in her last little years as a fighter. And I'll leave it there.